Imagine a YouTuber who talks about luxury fashion, only €2,000 shoes, designer trousers, elegant pairings, and then shows up in their videos looking shabby with no care for details. Or imagine a YouTuber who talks about fitness, healthy living, the gym, and weighs 70 kilograms more than they should. With all due respect to those with weight issues, that contrast makes you think. Well, that's exactly the feeling I get every time I watch many Linux videos on YouTube. How is it possible to talk about open source, freedom, sharing, and then publish your videos with the label all rights reserved? On YouTube, for example, it's possible to directly select the Creative Commons license when uploading, and yet, many videos about Debian, GNOME, or Fedora are published with proprietary licenses. It's like using GitHub to promote free code, but locking it behind a EULA. An obvious contradiction. I'm not trying to flame or point fingers. In fact, I thought long and hard before publishing this video, because it's one thing to talk about software and another to talk about people. I won't name names not out of fear, but because this video doesn't want to attack anyone. It just wants to plant a seed of change, or at least a seed of reflection. I know very well that many people use free software simply because it's free or works well, and that's perfectly fine. But you're not hearing this from the outside. You're hearing it from the inside, from someone who knows this world, lives it, and truly believes in it. Linux was born in the early 1990s, yes, but the free software movement is much older, and even though this isn't a historical video, a minimum of context is necessary. After Linux, something extraordinary was born. Beyond proprietary software, the open source movement emerged, a philosophy based on collaboration, transparency, continuous improvement, and openness even to the commercial world. It's important to understand, the worlds of free software and open source are distinct. Sometimes they even clash. They follow different paths, and their priorities are not always the same. Yet at their core, they have passed down common values, ideals of freedom, sharing, openness, and transparency, values that have gone far beyond code itself. From this great melting pot of ideas and efforts, battles were born. Battles for open standards, for projects that respect user privacy, for interoperable formats, for the diffusion and democratization of knowledge and technology. This identity, even if sometimes hard to define, resembles in some ways the major monotheistic religions. Each follows its own doctrine, its own road, but all ultimately believe in the existence of a single God and in the importance of that belief. In the same way, whether we speak of Linux, New Linux, open source, free software, or the Creative Commons movement, they all spring from the same root: openness, collaboration, reuse. And these values have extended far beyond software, shaping a whole philosophical vision of the relationship between humans and technology. For over 40 years, these movements have fought against powerful proprietary giants who have fiercely opposed them. And if you're a YouTuber who talks about Linux, about distributions, about projects carried forward mostly by communities, you simply cannot ignore this reality, because that software is not just software. It is also a vision, an idea, a way of living and relating to others. So I ask myself, how is it possible that there are videos on Debian, GNOME, Fedora, KDE released under proprietary licenses? Creative Commons is the transposition of open source values into the world of creative content. It's the equivalent of the GPL for videos, texts, images. It was born from the same drive that created Debian, GNU, the Linux kernel, to share, collaborate, give back, and a true supporter of open source should use it. It doesn't limit your popularity. It doesn't block your earnings. YouTube supports it natively. In fact, today YouTube is closer to open source than many of you. If you show Debian in a video, Debian will never sue you. But what Debian gave you, a technical identity, a visual icon, an ecosystem, can't be treated as proprietary content. If you do, you break the pact with those who built that world. Debian itself promotes the free sharing of its material. Why do the Linux Foundation and so many other projects use the Creative Commons license? Because this is who we are. This is what we believe in. We can't run away from all this, otherwise we fall back into pure hypocrisy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against copyrighted content. I believe copyright is an essential legal tool for creators, whether they are writers, filmmakers, musicians, or even YouTubers. These are people who work hard, who create with their own effort, using tools they paid for, crafting something that often comes from nothing. But here we are talking about YouTubers who talk about open source, who, in their videos, exclusively showcase freely downloadable software, who build their channels as gateways to a world built on sharing, reuse, transparency, and the spread of knowledge. And in this context, it is absolutely inconceivable to use a different license than Creative Commons. Let me say what few others will say. I've always respected you. In fact, I've never asked you for anything. Every one of my videos ends with, "Thanks for watching." But above all, every video was created with intellectual honesty. There's a lot of money floating around on this platform, and there are those who sell you spring water in bottles filled from the tap, prepackaged freedom. But we are here thanks to open source, to projects managed with very few resources that often release their software for free and struggle to find the funds to carry on. We're here thanks to those who work with passion and competence, not because they have a pretty face or an expensive camera. And I believe we can't just think about receiving, and receiving. We must also give back in some way. If we really want to respect all the developers and users who contribute, the only way, at least, is to release what we produce under a Creative Commons license. Period. There are no loopholes. Obviously, it's not a legal obligation. No one is stopping you from protecting your videos with copyright. But if your channel talks about collaboration, sharing, free code, community, then it's a matter of consistency, not just licenses. We're here thanks to you. Yes, also thanks to you. And we can't treat you simply as a number, a click on like, a subscription, or often a donation. We must treat you as a human being with a brain, a heart, ideas, and present to you not just software, not just well-packed news, but thoughts, ideas, a system of values. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to defend an idea I believe in, that integrity is not something you preach, it's something you live. And if we talk about freedom, we must also embody it. Otherwise, we don't belong to this world. We're just exploiting it. We represent a system of values, not just software. I'm not a saint. I myself very often do not fully comply with the Creative Commons guidelines. I forget to insert the references in my videos, so I'm not compliant. But what I'm talking about here is not a formality or a matter of strictly adhering to a license. This is a matter of principle, an essential and discriminating one. So yes, we must be hard on ourselves, just as we are with others, and we must first try to remove the beam from our own eye. And believe me, I feel embarrassed having to make this video precisely because I hate coming across as an inquisitor, as the ethereal hero who fights for good, because that's not the case. I'm not better than others. But in this, almost everyone is getting it wrong, and I'm convinced someone had to say it. We talk about licenses, centralized package managers. We get outraged when a license changes. The entire community mobilizes when sharing, transparency, or the respect for our data is threatened. We often sell guides, tutorials on how to understand Linux and how to use it. And all of this, to me, feels absurd. It doesn't make sense, I think. But change is always possible. It's a choice. And I believe that all of us who talk about Linux, open source, free software, community-driven development, and open shareable programming should align ourselves with the values of the world we claim to promote. And therefore, we should use a Creative Commons license. What kind of YouTuber are you? How can you monetize thousands of dollars from our world, showing only material that you did not create, and still expect to release it under all rights reserved for yourself? I firmly believe there must be a foundation of respect in what we do. Respect for ourselves, respect for the work of others, respect for the users. Now it's time to say goodbye. As always, I don't ask you to like, subscribe, or comment. I just hope you were able to understand my message. I don't want followers. I want listeners, people who are freer than I am. Thanks for watching.